Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday morning. We survived the night with our new turnout blanket. We didn't rip it to shreds, so her owner will be very happy to know that. I actually think she quite enjoyed it. I caught her later that day. I caught her yesterday afternoon taking her a little siesta with her little blankie on. So hopefully that means we're pretty accepting of that. So besides the blanketing, it's been a little bit. I've saddled her just a couple times over our little laps in filming. Like I said, I didn't want to get too far into it because I didn't want it to progress too much for you guys to not see it just one day magically she came out and was fine. That's really not how I want this to go. I want you guys to see the whole process. So I have saddled her several times. I've worked her in a few different ways, but we haven't done a whole ton with her as far as cinching her up goes, because I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself in the video series. So we're just going to saddle her up, and we'll just kind of get right into it. I'm hoping this blanketing trick helped us a little bit, to see if we couldn't speed up this getting her over the cinch process. I mean, I still expect her to have, so far she's never failed to give us a little bit of a show. She's been getting better and better as we progress, but she still hangs on to just a little bit of resistance. So I'm not expecting that to necessarily go away. I'll have to apologize in advance because it's pretty windy today, but it's also sunny and everything. It's still pretty chilly here, but I like being outside whenever I can be outside, and I just think maybe having a little more open space is probably going to help me with this filly just a little more, just to add a little more distraction. Maybe a little more open space will help me just kind of let her go through the paces a little more. So again, you see, I'm not just cranking this thing up. I'm not being cautious, but I'm not being too aggressive in my approach on saddling her up. So I don't feel her being quite as tight as I normally do when I cinch her up for the first time. Like normally I can feel her pushing her belly into it pretty hard. So who knows, maybe we made a little progress. So again, we're just gonna let her walk around. Pretty happy with that. I still expect a little hop here and there, maybe if that wind hits her in the butt. Well, she's got much wind coming out of her butt as she got going in. So notice her ears are kind of back on that saddle still. She's not entirely happy about it, but I mean, there we go. This is big time progress. And I don't want y'all to think that I've been saddling this filly every day, because I can promise you I have not. We've saddled her several times, but I didn't want y'all to miss out on too much of the action. So this is just good progress that we've made, and sometimes a little bit of a break will let them kind of absorb some of that stuff we've been doing with them a little better, so that when we come back and touch it again, it's in a better they're just a little more willing to kind of meet us in the middle on it. So you can see she's had a couple little moments, but nothing huge. And I'm just walking her around. I'm not looking to pick a fight here. I just want her to kind of settle in. And I'm pretty dang happy with that. So to me, this is huge progress from where we've been. And I mean, you've seen the majority of what has gone on and transpired with this filly. It's not, like I said, we've not been overly aggressive in our approach with her. We've just kind of been waiting her out, and I still very much expect some resistance every day for the foreseeable future, but this is getting close here to what I'm looking to get. I don't mind them being a tick uncomfortable, and I don't mind them having a little bit of an episode, but where we were with her when we first started was we would cinch her up, and she would maybe just tell us a little bit of a fib in the first 30-40 seconds. You know, she'd kind of walk forward and she'd say, oh yeah, no, this is okay, and then she'd throw herself a little bit of a fit. Well, I've felt a couple little strikes of resistance, you know, or stomping her feet or humping her back just a little bit, but I've not felt any major malfunctions as of yet. So this tells me we're probably going to move into something. We're probably going to add on to it just a little bit today. So I'm just going to let her walk around here for a second, and then I'm going to just push her up into a trot and see what we got there. Okay, so that's borderline acceptable. I don't mind just a little bit of play or a little bit of crow hop or a little bit of hump in their back, but she's very much still paying attention to me. She's going to have her little bit of a say-so, and I'm still not crazy about this saddle calling, but you'll notice her ear is still on me. She's not checking out. Her body's even softer. You know, she's carrying her tail a little bit, and she's a little bit humpy, but this, for me, is very acceptable. This is what I would hope to see on a first or second saddle. So I don't know how many saddles we're in on this filly now, but we're getting up there. So this is kind of more of what I would like to see out of the first or second time I do commit to saddling one. But just because it didn't happen in the first or second time doesn't mean this filly's bad, or doesn't mean this filly's an outlaw by any means. It just means that she's just not a big fan of that saddle. And for me, I wasn't willing to make enough of a big deal about it to just say, well, too bad if you don't like it, you need to get over it. We just keep coming out and plugging away at it and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying until we actually start seeing some good progress like this. Like, I mean, she's not even really taking the slack out of the rope right now. She's just loping along really, really friendly. This is great stuff for me. This is where I start feeling good. You know, I start feeling more confident. This is where I'm happy to say, okay, we've reached a very good spot here. Now we can start introducing some more stuff to you. Because now we're getting the very basics of it down. And you'll see she's on two different leads here. And this is something when I was younger would drive me crazy. And I would pick a fight about that. And I don't know if just time progresses and you realize that this isn't a reflection of if she can lope or not. This is little ways where she's uncomfortable and she's just not putting herself together perfectly. So she's not holding one lead. It's because she's just trying to adjust herself to learn how to carry that saddle. But years ago, I would fight with them about that. I would get in a big wrestling match over that, and it would just open up a whole can of worms that didn't need open. So I just want people watching at home to know that just because this filly's going around on 2 different leads doesn't mean she has anything wrong with her. It doesn't mean she can't hold a lead. It doesn't mean she's a poor mover, because she's actually the complete opposite of all those things. She's just trying to find a way to get comfortable with that saddle on her back. And it's just not a fight I'm going to get into. So if you've been watching from the very start to where we are now, we can go ahead and call this a huge win for us. Okay? So this filly is finally starting to say, you know what? That saddle's on there. I'm still not a huge fan of it, but you know what? It's going to keep getting on there, and every time I seem to learn how to relax with it on, that time it's on gets less and less. And I get less and less worked up. My heart rate isn't there as high. So like right here, she just kind of wants to be in and be friendly. She's swishing her tail a bunch. I'm not really sure what all that's about. It's just probably just her expressing herself. But so if you've followed me on Facebook at all, you've probably seen me work this filly on this rope. Back when we first got her, when she first arrived, we turned her out in this round pen and threw her some hay and water, and this is where she lived for a couple days. And when I went to catch her for the first time, she said, "Nuh-uh." So I ended up having to use this, and I ended up roping her, and I had to work her with that rope, and then I did that for a day or two, just until I could kind of catch her and all that. So generally with this rope, I'm going to get into a little more detail about starting this rope on another horse that we have right now. That's actually quite similar to this one. I'm going to get more into detail about what I'm looking for when I do this, but essentially it's just a big extension of my arm, and I'm going to be able to get this rope in different places, and I'm going to be able to put some pressure and put some heat on them, and get it wrapped underneath their belly and around their legs and all that stuff, and hopefully get it trapped under a stirrup where I can flip that stirrup around a little bit and fling it over the top of them, so that now they're packing a saddle, and then they have outside interference going on top of that, to where they have to worry about something other than that saddle. So this is kind of the next step on where I'm going to go with a horse like this one. I don't necessarily do it with all of them, but horses that are extremely feely, or extremely flighty, I will make sure I give them a good dose of this before I move on to the step of leaning over them and all that other stuff. So I'm just going to slip this on over her head, hopefully, if she'll let me. And otherwise, the next step is roping her. And I'm not a very gifted roper, so I don't want y'all to make fun of me. So so she was a little worried about that rope going up over her ears, but that's not what I'm aiming to fix right now. I'm not going to get in a war with her about it. Some of what I'm about to do next is going to help some of that anyway. So like I said, I'm just going to send her out there, Get her moving forward. So I'm just going to let her go for a little bit. Just kind of let her settle in. Make sure we're doing all right. And then I'm going to just start kind of throwing that rope at her. Now see, it's right between her two front legs and between her hind legs. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the slack out of that rope and just kind of let it not bite her hock, but just bite up there behind her hocks a little bit. Just where there's something weird touching her back there while she's moving. And all the while I'm keeping a good eye on her ears. See, and now we're getting another scenario where it's over the top of the saddle. And this here, you just got to read her while we're going through this. So if I put a little bit of pressure and she starts to kind of tighten up and panic, I'm not necessarily going to release that pressure, but I'm not going to add any more to it. I'm just going to kind of let her deal with it as it's kind of being presented to her. And for me, this is a pretty safe way for both of us to kind of get over some stuff. I'm at a safe distance. I'm not sitting on her back, and you know, I'm in pretty good control of everything that's going on here. And all she has to do is just kind of learn how to deal with it. And then I'll just fling it out in front of her. So all this stuff is just adding some to the pile here of what might upset her. I mean, a lot of it will simulate the lead rope getting up under her tail, or just something coming out of nowhere. See, and this is a really cool situation for me right now. Because now I got it wrapped around her hind legs, over the top of her. Seeing, like right here, I'm not going to panic. That's up to her to deal with. And see, like it's around over the top of her neck, underneath her neck, kind of chasing her around, and it's bouncing off her legs. She's stepping on it every once in a while. It's just hitting her in a bunch of different spots. And you can give them a little bit of rope burn with this if you're not careful, or if something goes on where they get it kind of wrapped around and they panic, they can burn themselves a little bit. You just got to kind of use this on an as needed basis. I mean, I don't come out here and just try and make it bite them, you know. I just want it to be fairly loose where it'll move around, where they can get it, where just a bunch of different things will happen without me having to do a whole lot other than just stand here and let her deal with it. And I mean, this stuff right here it's very valuable to me, because then I can tighten it up if I need it. If she's starting to kind of relax, I can tighten it and just let her deal with it. And again, if you'll notice, even though she's tight and not relaxed, she's still paying attention to me. She's still checking in. Her inside ear is on me pretty well constantly. Every once in a while, something will surprise her and she'll kind of lose focus of me for a second. But pretty much this entire time, that filly's inside ear has been directed at me, like, hey, what's going on here? Are we all right? And to me, that's important, because that means she's starting to look to me for direction. And when she settles like this and wants to face up, she's going to figure out real quick that the pressure's gone. And it's not that I'm trying to scare her, but I'm just trying to just challenge her comfort zone just a little more as we go along with this. And So like, remember how she was a little funny about that rope going over her head? So this is a good opportunity for me to flip that rope over her head. And she's going to learn that when she stands still and comes in and settles, that I'm going to slowly work on undoing this rope that's in a tangle around her. And all she's got to do is be okay with it. And all the while, I'm just adding more things that I'm getting her over. So anyone who ropes or is a cowboy or anything like that are probably looking at this and laughing at my rope skills, because I have very little rope skills, which I actually think for this process helps me, because it's almost like the less skilled you are with the rope, the less control you have over where it's going. So you can kind of surprise them just a little bit. But the key is and like all this stuff here, this is valuable material right here, because this filly's had her feet trimmed and stuff like that plenty. They've taken really good care of her at Tamarack Ranch. But you know, like once you start adding more things in a different environment, you know, things get done differently at every place. So she's been a little funny for us to handle, and I don't think Tamarack Ranch did anything wrong. I think they did a wonderful job raising this filly. You know, but you put them in a new environment and you handle them a little different. And this filly's hypersensitive, hyper smart. She gets used to certain people, and and those are her people. Where when she came here, it was a whole new ball game for her. So, you know, so we like to use these advantages here where I can get it behind her, you know, behind her feet, flip it over her head, get her to where different things where she's just getting more relaxed with things. And it's good for our farrier to have something come up from behind her and grab her hind legs a little bit, because the better we can get her about all this stuff, the better she'll be about all the other stuff we have to do on a run day to take care of them. Not just to ride them, but to maintain them, to do the farrier work, to do the vet work. And like one of the biggest things for me is these horses have to be good to handle. They have to be easy for anyone to handle, not just me. They have to be good for the farrier. They have to be good for the vet. So doing all this little stuff right here helps me tremendously, because it's gonna help me get her over some stuff to saddle, and gonna help me get her ready for me to ride and train. But it's also gonna help my horseshoer. It's gonna help my vet. It's gonna help my wife, who also helps handle these horses, and it's just gonna make the whole process easier. The more she's okay with, the better shape we're in. So she's in here catching her breath, and I'm okay with everything I'm seeing right now. So I'm just gonna start doing some different stuff here. I'm just gonna start flinging these coils over her, touching under her belly. Again, she's not a huge fan of stuff under her belly yet, but she's also thinking about it. She goes, you know, time I overreact and I go to run away, the pressure doesn't relieve. It actually adds more pressure, and I get more out of ear. So maybe I just need to stand here. So I really love seeing her react and then think and then go, you know, I think I'll just stand here. These coils haven't hurt me yet. So again, I'm not being real bashful here. I'm just kind of doing some random stuff. I'm just throwing them coils over the top of her, underneath her. Want to get it where I can just kind of just simulate some stuff, like my leg going over the top of her and flopping on down on her side. Because you know what, I'm not old by any means, but I'm not getting any younger, and I'm getting less graceful getting on these things the older I get. So I want to make sure that my clumsy butt can get over here and not get in a wreck when I go to get on her. And again, it's all good stuff. And then see here, this is a good opportunity for me right now too, is I'll just pass these coils through and wrap around and simulate getting her leg wrapped up. And then I'll come back through, pass them back through, and we'll do it again. Oh, sorry guys, I dropped you. So I just use this opportunity for her to stand still as a way to just kind of help add more to the pile that she's going to get over. All right, now she's thinking about leaving, and she said, nah, maybe not. So I'm not going to push it much farther than here today. She wasn't over relaxed outside, but we never lost her mentally. She stayed checked in with us. So I'm probably going to do this for another day or two, and then I got a sneaking suspicion if we stay on the road we're on right now, we're getting dangerously close to being able to start leaning over this filly. And I hope you guys don't think that I've spent 2 weeks saddling this mare every day and putting her through her paces, because we really have not. We've just had life coming at us, and we want to keep this as authentic and as genuine as we can. We've just had some struggles with making time to film, and then we've, like I said, our bronc pan got flooded, and we've just had a bunch going on, family in town and everything else. So we've just not been able to film like we can. But this is probably only 3 saddles from the last time you saw her, and this being the 3rd one. So we were pretty well, if you left us at our video before our blanket video, she was getting pretty dang close to being all right with getting saddled up. And I feel like we're pretty well in a good spot right now, to where we're getting ready to start kicking it in the high gear, and going to be able to get a lot more done here in the next couple sessions. So I hope you guys stay tuned with us. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you see our progress with this filly, and we will see you on the next one.